Good morning, everybody. You're tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm your host for the next couple of hours. I'm with Nick right here in the studio.
Good morning.
Good morning. And Spence is here with us.
Yes, sir. It's amazing that we can't hear all those servers in the background running.
Right. I mean, it's
Very quiet.
You don't see there's a shield.
I see, yeah.
It's transparent shield.
Yes. It's very cold out here in the field I am up in Alaska.
Mike, hopefully will join us later. Our number is 919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And this morning's show is made possible by Remix Software, Telestream's Wirecast software, and is sponsored by Thompson Clare of Live Streaming Gear.
So, did you see the Office Mac story? Or Office Depot? I don't remember which one.
What about it?
They got sued for
Yeah.
selling unnecessary services to people, and they got to pay $25 million, and the company that they use has to pay 10 by falsely leading people to believe that they had malware on their machines. But I thought everybody did that. Not that I'm saying it's good, but that's just the only one they caught.
I'll bet that the other ones will not do it anymore.
I mean, you go to buy a battery or something in your car, and you need this, or you get in your alignment. Oh, you need struts. This is the way. No.
Yeah, this is
not upselling. This is
threat selling.
This is lying. This is cheating.
Yeah, doesn't Geek Squad do a lot of that too, though?
Oh,
with
that's
Best
what I'm
Buy?
saying. This is what they do.
I mean, they sell you the $75 monster HDMI cable, and a monster power strip, and I mean, I guess that's upselling, but I guess that's not lying like they were doing.
Yeah, you're right. I was being facetious. I don't think it's a good idea. I know that it happens in all industries, but
no, I mean they Geek Squad got caught. There are some videos on YouTube where people brought in computers and they just unplugged the wire.
Oh, yeah.
Telling them that they needed.
I remember that.
I mean, it was ridiculous. Yeah. You always have to be. I mean, I really in this day and age, it's amazing that people take their computer to someplace like that.
Well, I know a lot of people that just don't know who to go to.
They should have friends that would tell them, that recommend, here, you go here, you go there.
They don't ask. I mean, if people come, they said I did this. Well, you know that I know something about this. You could have called me. I would have just told you what to do.
Yeah, that too. I mean, you need to be engaged with your immediate community and get these things.
I'll give you a perfect example. I have a new customer who had been, it was referred by a friend. He was waiting to call me to get started on doing some things, but he had the typical Windows, I think it was a Windows update crash. He was in the middle of had Outlook open and had Word open, working on documents, left his desk, came back a half hour later, had a blue screen. And then he could not open anything in Word or Outlook. Dead. Everything else in Office worked.
Yeah.
So he called me. He says, I don't know what to do. Can you remote in? I got to go to a conference and all this. So we set up a time yesterday where I was going to remote into his machine. And I said, but first you need to have your Microsoft account because it was Office 365, an online subscription. I said, I need that information because I'm going to have to reinstall or do a repair on the install. So he went to do that and had to call Microsoft because he didn't have his ID. And they remoted in and they fixed it, apparently for free. So it's just, you got to just know who to ask.
So in that story about Office Depot, where is support.com? What is support.com?
Well, they were the ones that were providing the expertise to the staff or they were either the staff there or the background help that they got came from support.com. Office Depot did not have the people on staff that did the support. Support.com were contractors to Office Depot to sell those services.
Okay.
So a Geek Squad was the same way, I believe. A lot of it was not in-house. And I think what they did after that scandal was they brought it in-house. I think that's what happened with Best Buy.
I mean, I mean, a lot of people now are going to be wondering.
They won't hear this. The story won't make the regular news. I doubt it. A lot of people won't even have any clue it happened. Yeah, well.
Anyway, this is an interesting thing here. I mean, it looks like Russia is trying to really get everything in state, kind of like cut themselves away from the outside world, slowly.
Russia or China?
Russian authorities have ordered 10 major VPN providers to begin blocking sites on the country's blacklist. Some, like NordVPN, ExpressVPN, IPVanish, Hide My Ass. Torguard also received a notification and has pulled its services out of Russia with immediate effect. You have to comply, or you get apparently slapped with some, I have no idea what they can do if you don't do it. But it's very interesting that something like this is going on.
Well, didn't you hear about how they announced a major upgrade in Russia?
No.
They were going to call it Internet.
Internet. That's good. Yet.
Well, they're rolling it out.
I like that. Uh-huh.
And that just came to me while I was sitting here. I didn't go and research that one. It might have been you. I might have heard it somewhere before, but. Oh, well.
So what else is going on? I had the privilege of having Nick over here for the weekend.
What did you have him do? Probably painting the house and stuff?
The what?
Painting the house? Cutting the grass?
We didn't do anything technical, did we?
No, I don't think so.
Just took it easy, relaxed, went downtown there was a Vietnam experience activity, so took the Jeep, and there were some helicopters there, and what, do you see it? Oh, look at that. Wait a second, hold it. I see something here. Check. Yeah. Check. Okay, look. Yeah. Something was going. I don't know what. I mean, maybe it's mainly when there are two mics at the same time it happens. I don't understand. It didn't happen since. No, it looks like it's only one channel is working, and it's probably sounded really bad the whole beginning of the show, like that. And Nick just noticed it. I did not. All right. No, we went and there were some helicopters, Vietnam helicopters there, and kids were piling on the helicopters and the jeep, and
And where was this?
This was at the uh, History Museum.
They landed helicopters there?
Oh no, these are not flying helicopters.
Oh,
They are
okay.
the ones that they tow. I mean, they're the original helicopters, but they're demilitarized.
Okay.
And it was interesting. You saw them before, didn't you?
Did I?
I thought.
I have, this is the History Museum?
Yeah. I mean, the event was at the History Museum.
Oh, okay.
We were
Well, maybe I
outside.
did.
We were
I
outside.
probably, if they had them at Moore Square or at
Yeah.
the Capitol or whatever, I
Yeah.
must have seen them. Yeah.
We're lucky to have
Yeah.
that group here in North Carolina, and they're very active, and they go out and display those helicopters and during different events.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Hello. That
How
was
you
fun.
how you doing?
I'm all right. How you
Good.
doing?
What's going on?
The rent?
Mike had an internet problem this week, right?
Uh-oh. Oh yeah.
Did I?
Oh, tell us, Mike.
Was that this week or last week?
I don't know. What are you talking about?
You had your internet was down.
I know because the landscaper cut my fiber cable.
Hmm.
All you have to do is just put the ends together and put some Scotch tape around it.
I was going to do that, but I couldn't find where it was cut.
Oh, great.
And
Wow.
I called. It was on a Friday, so naturally it's going to take all week to get them out here. It was cut at 2:30. Probably the busiest internet day I've had in the last 5 years because of a
Oh.
project I'm working on.
God.
And so anyway, I got home and played around with the hotspot and that sort of thing, and
Are you saying that ever since they put the cable in and they did not bury it, how long has it been?
2 years.
And they still did not bury it.
Right.
But you did not bug them again and again to bury it.
Amnon, how could you even ask that question?
Well,
You
I
know
mean,
Mike better than that.
this is amazing.
He calls him every day.
They not quite, but they no, I did finally give up on them in the last year or so, but we had some landscaping done. We've been reviving our yard for the last 2 years, so they brought in some dirt and so forth, and sort of had covered it up, but it turns out that they had not covered it up very much, which I didn't care because it wasn't my problem. But anyway, what the guy did, it probably was his fault because he didn't call 811, and had they done that, then they would have known where not to dig. And I think he's made a serious error by not doing that because the electrical runs alongside of it as well. But it's buried at least 18 inches deep. So anyway, we got up with them. They said, well, we'll have it fixed by between 10 and 12 on Saturday. Okay, well, that's good. I mean, not their fault it got cut, except to the extent they didn't bury it. And anyway, so she said, the guy called about 8:30, 9 o'clock Saturday morning and said, is it too early for me to come over? I said, no, sir, head on. And actually, it was Thursday or Friday. I forget when
It was a Thursday.
It was Thursday. It got
Yeah.
cut. And Friday morning he was here because I was at the office and my wife was here. So anyway, he comes over, gets here about 9 o'clock, 9:30. He has run a new fiber across the yard, not buried, hooks it up and online, ready to go. And then the guy gives my wife his business card and says, if you have any more problems in the future, don't even call the 800 number. Just call me on my cell phone and I'll come fix it.
Wow.
And he said, by the way, there will be a $99 charge.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And because it was theoretically not their fault. So anyway, I had gone on Twitter and said nice things about AT&T because I thought they did a good job getting it out here and getting it done. Couldn't complain, no complaints at all. I'm first one to dog them when the opportunity arises.
No.
Shut up, Nick. So they sent me a private message, a DM, and said they'd like to talk to me or chat with me. I forget what it was. So I said, here we go. So anyway, I did that. and said, well, no, everything's okay. Yeah, we appreciate the comment. That's nice of you to do. Just wanted to make sure everything's okay and you're happy. I said, well, no, I'm not happy. Well, why aren't you happy? I said, because you guys left this thing unburied for 2 years, unprotected. A guy comes in, there's no markings, no nothing to indicate where not to dig. And now you want to charge me $99 because you didn't come bury it. She said, I put a note on your file when you get the bill. If the $99 is on there, call us and we'll take it off. I said, fine. And I come bury the darn fiber cable. So we'll see how it goes.
And did somebody get back with you about scheduling for that?
No, the
For burying?
guy who was here said it takes usually 2 weeks because they assign the
Oh.
crews in sequence and give them a couple of weeks and get it out here. And if they don't, call me and I'll get them out here. I said, okay.
Wow.
We got to call 811 as well.
So you sure you didn't misunderstand him and it was a 2-year scheduling process, not a 2-week scheduling process?
Yeah, well, I could certainly make an argument that that's what it is, but at least now, I mean, strangely enough, where it is now, you can see it. So you can not hit it now because it's laying on the ground. We'll see. I mean,
So in other words, there's no cutting grass for you.
shoot, go right over it. It's got a steel runner in it. It's not, the mower's not going to pick it up.
All right.
So
Hey,
I wound up cutting my temporary cable once when they replaced it. They were going to bury it. It was sitting out there, and I went over it with the mower and passed it over it 10 times, and then the 11th time, it sucked it up into the blade, and that was it.
yep.
Yeah. I fixed it. I was able to put crimp connectors on and make it work,
But that's coax.
yeah, it was coax.
Do you know if they can splice fiber now at the underground?
If they have enough slack, that's the problem. You have to have enough slack to get the machine in there that they use to do the splicing. They do have mechanical splices that are not using fusing, where they don't melt the fiber, but they're not all that great. They would rather do the actual fusing, where they melt the fiber together.
Well,
But
Yeah,
it
I
all
would
depends
think
on
that
how much slack there is.
I would think that you would want them to fuse it.
Oh
of
yeah,
course
you
you
do, because then, yeah, they do make a connector that has a gel that you have to cleave the fiber off clean, nice and straight, and you slide it into this connector and you tighten it. It's got an optical gel in there, and it works pretty good. It just has more loss than uh, a fuse connector.
yeah, I'm glad they ran new fiber all the way to the street. And
Yeah, that's good.
from what I can tell, there's not a problem with it. I mean, could go out today and never come back. But anyway, for what it's worth, Google Fiber ran conduit down my street a couple to 3 weeks ago. There's no indication if or when they'll ever light it up, and I really don't care. I don't think that their TV offering it'll be more money by the time you add TV and internet than what I'm paying now.
It's
At
not
this-
Google Fiber, it's Google Water.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. They want you
Well,
to drink
considering
their
how much I'm paying for Cary water, I'd be glad to sign up for their water.
it's a Kool-Aid pipe.
the propaganda pipe.
That's it.
Hey, Spence, I emailed you a picture to your Gmail address. Is that something you could easily pull up on your XSplit profile or whatever
Yeah,
you're
hang on,
using?
let me go look.
So I've been having some internet issues as well at the office. I talked about it a couple weeks ago. And I was walking to the parking garage the other day. And I guess I wasn't on my phone as I normally am when I'm walking, like a millennial. And I noticed that one of the what are those? What's it called where they pile up all the cable? Those little green covers.
It's the
Pedestal?
distribution point.
Monument.
Yes, yeah. It's where you'll
Yeah.
see these in
Yeah.
in a subdivision, maybe every 5 or 10 houses, and it's where all of the cable kind of comes together. Well, I found, I guess, mine, and it is sitting in an alley. Unprotected by the weather. There's no there's no awning over it or anything. And it's just cracked wide open. And there is probably 25 or 50 cables all just knotted up and sticking all out a whole bunch of different ways. And I can only assume that my intermittent packet loss probably has something to do with this uncapped bundle of cables from Spectrum.
Here we go. Let me stretch it out here. Whoop, if I can actually capture it, I can do that. Oh, I got to bring it to the forward. Bring it to the front. Sorry.
So Spectrum said they didn't know what the cause of my possible packet loss was, and then I found this thing, and it is blatantly obvious what the probable cause of that packet loss is all of
Yeah, well,
these
they
splitters.
have way too many splitters in this thing.
Well, so in their
You think?
in their defense, this is in downtown Wilmington, so it's not like the infrastructure down there is brand new. So there is some defense for that, but this is just sheer laziness. That's all that is just laziness.
You know, even if this is not the reason, this should not be like that. Any way you look at it, this is wrong. This is
I don't
bad.
disagree. So I texted it to the support guy that's been helping me, and I said, "Hey Keith, you think this could be the cause of my internet issues?" And he didn't respond. So I tweeted it at Spectrum, and of course they're concerned, and I'm not going to bother responding because they clearly don't care. I mean, they have no interest in fixing the problem. There can't be many of these. Look at how many damn services are in this box.
I know.
So they don't care. But I did see AT&T's fiber truck downtown the other day, and I think they're going to. And I got an email that they're going to be introducing AT&T fiber.
If you'll
so
have more choices, that's good.
So hopefully I can get AT&T fiber down there and kick Spectrum to the can.
Yeah.
At least at this location. I really haven't had any problems with Spectrum outside of this. And again, this is an older downtown area, so the infrastructure I think is just a little bit lackluster. Not that it's an excuse, but it's not a brand new, business development area.
Yeah.
So thank you, Spence. I appreciate you showing that.
Mike, did you see any difference in the service with the newer cable?
No.
So that's actually good.
Alan says call 811.
Right. I'm going to let them do that.
I think he's talking about me. Does 811 deal with that? Or is
No, they do. They scan the underground
Yeah.
cable so that you don't dig into them.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if 811 would have any interest in that, though.
But I'm not sure, Nick, how can you prove that your service goes through that pedestal?
I can't prove that my service goes through that pedestal. You're absolutely right. It's less than 2 blocks from my office. So I guess it's a 50-50 shot.
Well, but the other side of that is that there's very likely that if that's not yours looks the same way.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. This is indicative of the carelessness that they have in installing it. So, it's just, you can use this as evidence to say, see.
Well, I think I'm hoping I can get to the point where I can cancel the service, and they're gonna have a pissy fit that I want to break the contract and cancel service, and all of this stuff will, I think, be a valid reason to switch away from their service.
Theoretically, they're violating their terms of service.
I told Amnon this. I said if I was an evil person, no comment, Mike. I could cut the whole downtown internet with a pair of hedge trimmers. I could cut that whole damn bundle of cables.
Yeah.
Or one of those articulating saws. I mean, I could do some serious damage down there.
Just think how many federal offenses you could commit in less than 10 seconds.
I mean, it's incredible. But the fact that they would leave it open. I mean, what if a car hit it? It's in a really tight alley where there's a couple of restaurants back there. I'm sure that at some point there's food trucks or.
But you're making the assumption that they consider someone hitting that a bad thing.
Well,
they're going to bill each person $99 for fixing it.
I have your defense, Nick. You just tell them that a horse came to your door and told you that you had to do this, that it was affecting the whole neighborhood and everybody was going to be overwhelmed. So the horse told you had to cut the cable.
I could say that the Mueller probe told me I had to go and cut all my Spectrum
that was the reason
cable.
why this connection is why the information didn't get out, because they that's all patches and taps into illegal connections that were shunting the information to where it shouldn't go.
Or the last tech who worked on it had not been vaccinated.
That's it. That's it.
So just on the ongoing saga of BS from Spectrum.
It is. It's a shame.
Yeah. Now I'll give them this. They have actually been. They've been this now that I've got, like, as Mike's now has a contact with a guy over at AT&T, I've got a contact with an actual person over at Spectrum now.
Yeah.
And for what he can do in his role as tech support, he's been very helpful. So, and I've never had a contact with anybody before. It's always just the 800 number, but this guy has sent me texts out of the blue checking on the service. I've sent him things and he's responded back to them. So,
Yeah, something's
that's a good
going on
sign.
with these cable companies, and they're. I don't think it's a trend yet, but they're screwing up and actually giving customer service a couple of times.
Well, I
And
think it's
don't-
individuals, guys that are just
Well-
frustrated because they're probably nerds.
But if the company finds out they're giving customer service, they're going to terminate them.
I wonder if it's any different because it's business class.
No, because whenever my internet went down on Thursday, I actually called Speculum to see if I decided to go with them, if AT&T gave me some nonsense like a week or 10 days to get it back up, which they've done before. I was going to have Spectrum come out and install it. And I said, this was probably 3:00 in the afternoon. I said, if I were to pile this, when can you do it? And they said tomorrow morning at 8.
Interesting.
And I was really, really close. It was going to be 400 up, down, and 2 up, or whatever it is, for $44 a month guaranteed for 2 years, no contracts, no installation fee, no nothing.
Yeah, that's what mine was.
And I was going to do that just as a backup service, but then they started asking me for my birthday. And I said, no.
Come
They
on,
wanted
Mike.
to send you a nice gift.
Yeah, that's all they wanted.
Yeah, the reason they ask for your birthday is they want to do a credit check. And if they had said, well, we have to do a credit check to extend you service, I would have said, okay, that's reasonable. But they lied about it and they said, well, we have to have your birthday to get this special deal.
Nah.
Not doing that.
Was it a age discount? I mean, what is it? What do they do? Multiply your age by something to give you the price?
I mean, who spends time worrying about what their lie is?
Yeah.
I mean, it was just a lie. They want to do a credit check, and I don't do credit checks. I don't do credit. I was a customer of theirs for 20 years. If they can't hold on to their service records and show that I pay my bill, that's their problem. John, I wasn't asking for a senior discount, so I don't think that's why they're asking. Furthermore, all I got to do is make up something.
Were you getting the early bird internet special where it only works between the hours of 3 and 4:30 p.m.?
Could be.
Got nothing to do with the early bird. Just
Order from
the
a special
bird.
menu. All entrees are $6.95.
But our landscaping guys, he's a real small business guy, hard worker. He was pretty upset when he did it, and I was pretty upset when I got home. And he told my wife, he said, "Oh, just tell me how much it is. I'll pay for it. I'll pay for it." And so I got him to waive it for his benefit. But so.
Well, but here you go, Mike. I mean, now you got to remember this. Your last support experience with AT&T was pretty good. So I mean,
I gave them kudos on Twitter.
I know. I mean, that's good that they're providing that.
Well, the problem is I gripe so much, people are going to get tired and unfollow me. So.
So, Nick, tell us about that EU copyright law. Since Mike is here too. Mike, are you familiar with what's going on?
With
I don't know. You haven't told me what's going on yet.
Article 13. Have you heard anything about that?
Oh, I missed Article 13. I'm no 12 and 14, but tell me about 13.
So Article 13, and I'm a legal expert, so this should make perfect sense as I try to decipher this
I'll
article.
go get coffee while you do this.
Perfect. This has been something that's been floating around for a while in the EU, but this Article 13, from what I've read and what I've listened to, is a copyright law that would hold websites like Reddit and Facebook and Twitter responsible when users upload copyrighted or copyrighted content. For example, the one that is being used is a lot of memes revolve around TV shows or movies. They'll take a screen grab from a TV show and put a caption above it and below it. That is things like that under this Article 13. It would hold the social medias responsible for infringing on that copyright. And obviously that's a big issue especially for websites like Reddit, which is essentially just well, they don't curate any content. It's all aggregation. So this is going on in the EU, and Mike, the thought here with this is that the EU is going to try to create a BMI or an ASCAP essentially for these big internet sites to pay licensing to these copyright holders. That's kind of the thought with this.
It could happen.
Yeah, and they're going to take something like 1% of Google's revenue, which you think about 1% of Google's revenue is a boatload of money.
That would only be for the EU portion, though, not for the whole company.
Correct. But the thought would be this is be something that it's starting in the EU and eventually would roll out worldwide. Other groups would spawn up across the world and do this.
There's there is a federal regulation that precludes that from being enforced in the United States. So that would have to be repealed or amended to allow this to happen. But I will tell you that the way you have to watch it is that the stupid stuff that goes on in the EU, the second stupid people to pick it up are in California. And then the third stupid people to pick it up are the rest of the United States. So it could happen. I mean, it could be a coming thing. It's the same old argument in the radio business that radio stations have to pay BMI, ASCAP, CSAC for the privilege of playing music. And if the radio stations didn't play that music, then the music would be worthless. It would have no value at all. So it's a chicken and egg.
Here's a quote from the article. Quote, internet platforms will be liable for content that users upload, end quote. And that's
well, then these groups that are unhappy about the political stance that Google and these other companies are taking can wreck them by uploading tons and tons and tons of copyrighted content.
Well, I what scares me about this is, first of all, the fact that this is another indication showing how out of touch government in general is with.
You say that.
Sorry, with how out of touch they are with technology.
See, now you're going to get the show listened into by the NSA.
Well, I mean, even during some of those Senate intelligence hearings with Google and Facebook, you had the CEO of
Senate intelligence. That's funny.
Or whatever group it was, the Insight Committee.
It's an oxymoron.
You had the CEO of Google standing up there or talking, and then you had one of these jackass senators holding up their iPhone asking why Apple News is posting bad content about them. I mean, these people are just clueless. And it looks like the same thing. Article 13 in the EU is the same thing. These people just don't understand how the internet
there's
works.
A difference between fake news or real news accused of being fake and copyright violation.
No, my point was that the senator was asking the CEO of Google why Apple's news service was showing incorrect information. I mean,
but he held the phone up the right way, right? So it was actually.
He should have held it horizontally instead of vertically.
Yeah, he held up an Apple iPhone with Apple News to the whoever it was at Google, and asked him why the service performs like this. And the guy's like, I have no idea. I don't
Who
work
was
for
the
them.
senator?
I think it was Chuck Grassley.
Yeah, he sounds probably real technically inclined.
But that's a problem with this.
How come this phone doesn't have a rotary dial on it anymore?
Yeah, but I mean, that's it.
Calls.
That's the concern with this stuff one of the concerns is just the out of touchness that and because they can't understand. There's no way this Article 13 could have passed if these people understood what they were actually passing.
I disagree.
You do.
I do disagree. If you're using people's personal property, you should pay for it.
Okay. But now, so you think holding these social medias responsible makes sense? I don't.
I would not have in the past, but now that all of the surreptitious activities, nefarious activities they're undertaking counter to the benefit of society, maybe it's time to hold them accountable.
Yeah. So what this will probably turn into is pay a marginal when you press that solo, it
Right.
turns everybody else's
Right. The,
channel
the
off.
income tax started a war at 1%. It would only be 1% of your income.
True. I just
So they can
I don't
start
know.
with a marginal tax, and it'll just
Yeah.
up. So I don't think it'll happen because the people the Googles and the Reddits and all these guys have nothing but they use $100 bills for toilet paper. So they're going to end up fighting the government. And believe it or not, the government, even though they have unlimited money, and if they run out, they can just print more, they do have departmental budgets that they are held accountable, and they can keep them in court forever.
Yeah. Now, I don't want to, similar to net neutrality, people are running around the internet screaming, "This is the end of the internet," and I think it's a little soon to jump to that conclusion. As we,
It is not.
I
You
understood. Yeah.
do you think Google, if they put a 50% tax on the content Google's carrying, do you think Google would go out of business?
Yeah. So there's
I rode a long flight with a guy one time, where I don't even remember where. Oh yeah, we were going to Hawaii, and I started talking to this business guy from Germany, and he started telling me how much money, he was a funeral director or something, how much money he was making. It was just tons and tons of money. I started pulling his leg a little bit, and I said, "Well, let me ask you a question. You make so much money, why are you flying in coach?" And he said, "Well, my father owns a company, and he's very cheap. If I flew first class, he'd kick my butt out of the company." And I said, "Well, I just heard recently
But
that
when
Germany has an 80%
it's
income
us.
tax on high earners." I said, "How is it you make any money if you have an 80% income tax?" And he said, "Well, that 80% number is correct." And he said, "You just have to make the other 20% a big, big number." So that's the way these companies deal with these things. Is it going to stink to have to pay a tax to someone who doesn't deserve it? Sure. But you know what? Just add it to the cost to keep moving on. How many people are going to stop using Google because they have to raise their advertising rates 2%?
Hmm.
Um,
I just I don't know. I don't know what's gonna come of it. I don't think it'll be anything crazy, but it is interesting that some of this stuff is being gone after by the EU. I guess it's not surprising because the EU is crazy, but
Well, they are crazy. And if you want to see the evidence of their craziness, look at the GDPR that we've talked about several times before.
absolutely,
yeah.
yeah.
General Data Privacy Regulation. Well, guess what? Fruit Loops out in California have decided to do the same thing, and it goes into effect January 1st, 2020. After that, there's some discussion that even North Carolina has started trying to figure out how to embrace these privacy things.
All for what? I mean, what's it all for, Mike?
You know, that's a really good question, and good for you, Nick. I didn't know you had it in you.
Thanks.
No, I don't know what the ultimate pay. I mean, is it some politician somewhere got a spam email once the one time he logged into his email or something? I don't know. I don't know really what the thing is, that it's supposedly for privacy. I mean, California, the stuff they do, they don't try to explain it. They just come up with whatever they can to try to make those idiots out there think they're doing their jobs. And then why does North Carolina copy them? That's another story altogether.
Alfredo's asking in reference to the conversation, what about Twitch? Yeah, absolutely. Twitch and YouTube, which is Google, would be under the same thing if you are playing a. Well, I actually, here's a great example. So I showed
What about Delta Force?
Delta Force. Yeah, well,
I mean,
could you make? What about emails? What if somebody is sending an email that has got a copyrighted something in it,
something.
an image? I mean,
a snippet. Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah, but you had a situation.
So Apple, who I hate, and now I hate even more after
You
this,
love Apple. Don't you talk about Apple.
after the amount of work I had to go through this week. So they released it. I'm not going to talk about their service because they can go to hell, and I'm not interested in it.
You better stop that.
They released a game service. So on our Brian Aldridge and I's show, the Infection Podcast, we talked about it, and we showed their like 3-minute trailer for their service.
Something that they put out in
Cor-
order for people to see what they're doing.
Correct. They had a keynote on Monday, and then on Tuesday we showed it on our show. So I upload it to YouTube, and I go to bed, and I wake up Wednesday morning, and I check our Discord server, and I've got one of the guys in there says, "Hey, your video is blocked." So I log in on my computer, and I can see the video. So I open it up in an incognito, not signed into YouTube window, and I see your video has been blocked. So I go digging around, and Apple put a copyright strike on my channel for showing the 3-minute trailer for their video. So my channel now will not let me stream to YouTube Live for the next 30 days because I have a strike. And I had to cut the 3-minute video out of my video, re-encode the whole show, and then re-upload it again to YouTube.
Yeah, that's a strike. That's not just
yeah. So they struck the channel and the video. So now I'm in not good standing with YouTube, all because Apple is out of touch with how
they do.
How we show videos all the time, trailers for video games, for service. We show Google's 3 Google trailers last week, 2 weeks ago. Not a problem. We show one Apple promotion for their new service, and they copyright strike my whole channel. So,
yeah, I can understand them doing an episode, but not a channel. But that's what I'm telling you. That's
but why would you copyright? Why would you copyright strike?
I look at it almost like somebody put out this press release.
That's kind of what it was,
and they don't want anybody to quote it.
We talked about it for damn near 20 minutes.
Yeah,
about their service and how what it could possibly be and what it could possibly do. And now I cut that whole thing. I cut the whole conversation out of the podcast on YouTube.
Did you appeal it?
I did, but it takes 30 days. And according to one of the guys in our community who does YouTube full time, once a video gets flagged, even if it gets unflagged, it's screwed up. It will forever be screwed up. So
but
I did
Amnon gets strikes all the time, don't you?
Yeah,
Amnon?
but that's a different kind of that's not a strike. That's a copyright violation.
A claim.
A claim, whatever. It's 2 different things.
Which I get too.
A strike, I mean, I didn't even know. Nick told me that most of their videos have those copyright violations. And really, Google doesn't care about that. The only thing they do is they give the money to whoever claims that if I made money. So since we don't make that, we don't have that many that are going to YouTube to watch, I don't make any money. Nick, Infection Podcast doesn't make it. So fine. So they give it to whoever. So you can have them. I fight it every week thinking that, you shouldn't have those. But now that I know, I may not care about it much. But a strike, if you have 3 of them, you can't.
Your channel's permanently closed.
You're out of YouTube. There's no way to get back in.
And Alan says, who is the alternative to Google YouTube? I mean,
well, there are, but that's not the point.
Who?
The point.
Vimeo would be the closest comparison.
There's Vimeo, there's Mixer,
Mixer's a live platform. Vimeo's the only Vimeo and Dailymotion, who I think Dailymotion is shut down now.
The problem is, guys, and I say things to be snarky, but this is not one of them. I'm sincere. That if you're a liberal, you can celebrate, you're winning. If you're a conservative, you'd better hold on, because the burning of books, the striking of our ability to speak is rapidly increasing, because I'm working with someone to put their content on YouTube. He's asked me to do it. I've set up the channel. I've got to edit the videos, start uploading them. Whenever, I guess it was about a week later, he asked me how far I had gotten along. I said, well, I've made progress, but I said I had a problem with the editing, which is Nick was helping me with. But after doing that, I said, by the way, be aware that once they find the content of this show, they're going to strike your channel. What do you mean? I said, if you put up content they disagree with, content-wise, then they are going to cancel your channel. They can't do that. And I said, oh, not only can they will, I guarantee it. And I guarantee you're going to get your channel stricken. I don't know how Dan Bongino stays up.
Well, I mean, in most cases, you have to commit some type of violation for them to strike your channel. But of course, I mean, and they're absolutely within their right to delete your channel if they want to. I mean,
based on political content.
But the degrees of violation are purely in their heads. There's
Correct.
nothing, and they'll say, "Oh," and if they get challenged, they'll say, "Oh, it was a mistake."
No, they won't. Not
Well, sometimes they do. Sometimes they will restore it when "Oh, well, it was a mistake. We just our algorithm
If there's enough
picked it up."
outrage.
This is
they are.
actively being blocked by people who are looking at this stuff and saying, "Nope, sorry, we don't want it."
I'm just telling you, they are, and what's going to happen is at some point they're going to get a really big lawsuit because once they start striking for content, they become known as a curator. A curator is responsible for the content. Amnon has immunity under federal law. Excuse me. Amnon has immunity under federal law because he does not review the content that his customers put on their websites. He is not required to do so. If he's made aware of a problem, he's required to take action, but he is not going to be responsible because someone put up a copyrighted image on his website or something like that. But anyway, now that Google is actually curating the content, going in and striking content that disagrees with their agenda, that makes them a curator. So what's going to happen is whenever they are defined as a curator of that content, or they are reviewing the content and approving content, now whenever one of these lefty terrorists who goes out and shoots up schools posts stuff on YouTube, they're going to be charged with first-degree murder. And then all of a sudden they might change their tune. The problem is that whenever they get to the Ninth District Circuit Court of Appeals, they're going to win that. And then if it gets to the Supreme Court, it just all depends on whether the court's been stacked.
Oh, no, they're gonna fix that by stacking the court with, packing it up with, like, 65 justices, so it'll be no problem.
So if you're conservative, you'd better pay attention because you're losing.
Well, how did they stop Roosevelt from packing the court back in,
They appealed to his common sense and reason.
Yeah, I know that the Senate came up with something, but it wasn't an amendment or anything
It'd
like
be
that.
good to know because the left is absolutely planning to do it. It's as soon as they get in, it'll be one of the first things they do, and that'll give them at least 2 years to do that, maybe 4.
I was actually, I mean, to show you how these systems, though these are automated system in most cases, how they are worthless is the intro music for Computers 2K Now is available out there on these sites that sell music. I paid for the license. So the license is available out there. It was licensed that they can sell you. So I was telling YouTube, guys, I don't understand. How come I'm only the one to suffer here? Why can't you just leave it and have them prove to you that it's theirs? Why do I have to prove that I can use it? It's obvious that they sold or they licensed it and they made money from this outfit that sold it to me. Now, Facebook is doing the same thing. Only on Facebook, it's a different outfit that's claiming it, and it's a different title that they are referring to that music.
Yeah, that happens all the time. They got people out there stealing the music and reselling it as if it's their own. What I would do if I were you is in the show notes for every post you do on YouTube, the very last thing down at the bottom, I'd put a line of dashes, and below that I'd put the license with the names of the parties and everything to the music. I'd have it right there in the video. And I'd say the license is right there in the description. Why are you blocking me? Why are you hitting me?
Well, I mean, with yeah, why are you hitting me? They don't care. With Facebook does not give you the option to dispute it the way that YouTube does
Facebook
it.
video is useless.
Well, and on Facebook, all you have to do is click restore audio. That's it. Apparently, that means that you have license. But still, it's a bother. Why do I have to do it?
Yeah.
I paid for it. So
Well,
yeah.
it's a private service and unregulated, and if they regulate it, it'll be detrimental to your interests. So suck it up. Start your own.
919-518-9773.
Did I ever tell you how my father got in the radio business?
Tell us again. I don't remember.
This was back in about 1960. He was a TV repairman. He used to sponsor a hymn show from 12 till 1 o'clock on the only radio station in town. And so then right at 1 o'clock, they would play a spot for his competitor, his primary competitor. And this went on for a long time. Finally, he was over there, went over to the radio station. He had a good buddy who was the engineer, but he was over there talking to the salespeople or the manager or somebody. And he said, you know what? I don't know anything about the radio business, but I pay for an entire hour of advertising every Sunday from 12 until 1 o'clock. And then the first thing you do is play my competitor's ad. That doesn't seem like fair. And the guy said, well, that's too bad. That's the way we do it. And he said, my father said, well, I don't like that. I don't think you should do it. It doesn't seem fair to me. And he said, well, there's nothing we can do about it. And he said, well, what are my options? He said, I guess you have to take your business to another station. He said, there's not one. And the guy said, build one. 2 years later, he had it on the air. And 5 years later, they sold out from losing money.
Huh? Oh, no.
Be careful what you say.
Yeah, you always have to be careful what you say. But here's something else. The FTC, in what would be considered a prelude to new regulatory action, has issued an order to several major internet service providers requiring them to share every detail of their data collection practices. The information could expose patterns of abuse or otherwise troubling data use against which the FTC or states may want to take action. The letters requesting info went to Comcast, Google, T-Mobile, and both the fixed and wireless sub-companies of Verizon and AT&T. These represent a range of large and small ISPs as well as fixed and mobile internet providers. And the spokesman for the FTC and the comment about it, the author writes, I'm not sure which is mean to be the small one, but welcome any information the agency can extract from any of them. They want to know, how do you use the data you're collecting on users? Will that scare the ISPs? Maybe. Why aren't they including Facebook in here? I don't know if Facebook is already required to do same by the government after all their embarrassing stories. But even if you're connecting to an ISP, just connecting to an ISP, you're not really using them for anything, not for your email, not for anything, just for connectivity to the internet. They collect information about you. Everybody needs to be aware of that. I know that we always kind of like, yeah, the privacy. But you need to be aware of this.
Did you see there was a story that just came out about Ring being acquired by Google and how that just now allows all the Ring features to be folded into the big surveillance arm.
No, I did not.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Ring is a great product. I mean, it was the story behind that is interesting because it started out as a guy on Shark Tank who was told to go pound sand that he had a bad idea. And he said, well, I'm going to develop this on my own. And now he's sold it for billions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty amazing. But it's a great product. I've installed 2 now for other people. I don't have one, but I have other video surveillance.
Spencer, you ready for the special?
I'm ready.
Sure.
In fact, we have a special cover page today to just show the different options now for how you can watch the show live. Are we ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So Computers 2K Now specials for March 31st, 2019. So we have the washing machine option. Amnon, that's your picture up on the front door. Actually, the dryer. So that option, we've got Gal on the camcorder option. Nick is on the microwave option. And Mike is on the oven option, and I'm on the Jumbotron option there. So all these ways are now available for people to watch the show.
Let me go to the kitchen and watch it on the
Internet of Things, right?
Nice.
There was something. There was a big story about Internet of Things. I think it was this past week.
Write it down, or let's get back. Let's
all right,
get
but
to
I'm
it
just
after
saying.
the specials.
Think about it later. I'll look it up. But it was something about grave security concerns. Well, what's new, right? All right, now starting with laptops at Best Buy, we've got a HP 15.6-inch AMD Ryzen 3 entry-level laptop for $399, which is $30 off the regular price. Office Depot has an HP 15.6-inch Ryzen 3 for, actually, that's the same machine. I just realized that. Look at that. Well, they have the same machine for $399. They say $100 off, so that tells you something about their pricing. And we have at Staples, we have an Intel i3 HP 14-inch machine for $379, which is $100 off. Desktops all-in-ones, we have at Best Buy an HP Pavilion desktop Ryzen 3 8 gig 1 terabyte hard drive for $399, save $60. Office Depot has a Ryzen 3 8 gig Lenovo Idea Center. It's a 23.8-inch screen all-in-one. That's $469, 180 off. And Staples has an HP Slimline Intel i5 for $419, save $100. Tablets. Best Buy has a Samsung Galaxy Tab S4 10.5-inch, 256 gig of memory for $629, save $120. Boy, tablets are expensive. It's amazing. This is 256 gig, and that's probably why it's so expensive. And the size of the screen. Office Depot has an Acer Spin 15-inch touchscreen 2-in-1 for $379, which is $70 off. And Staples has on sale, but not a weekly ad item, an Apple iPad 9.7-inch iOS tablet, $299, which is $30 off the regular price. Networking, we have at Best Buy the Linksys Velop Tri-Band Mesh Wi-Fi system, 1 base node, 2 plugins, 3-pack. And what's interesting about this and handy is that you plug these directly into a wall outlet. That's not how they connect. It's just how they're powered. So it's easy to move it around wherever there's an outlet. And the fact that it's in an outlet means it's not very visible or obtrusive. So $299 for that kit, $50 off. Office Depot has a Linksys AC1200 smart Wi-Fi AC router for $74.99, which is $15 off the regular price. Staples has a Google Wi-Fi AC1200 dual band whole house Wi-Fi. Now, this is just the base station for $99, $30 off. Further into the specials, I'll show you where you can buy the kit. Storage, we have a Western Digital Easy Store 4 terabyte USB 3.0 portable hard drive at Best Buy for $99. That's $100 off the regular price. Office Depot has a SanDisk ultra secure digital memory card, either in, actually it's a micro card that comes with an SD adapter. So we're looking at 80 megabits of per second record speed on this thing. So this is a fast card. 32 gig for $14.99, $25 off. Staples has a Seagate Backup Plus 4 terabyte USB 3.0 external drive. It's not a portable drive. $89.99, save $20. Accessories. Best Buy has an Insignia powered speakers with subwoofer 3-piece set for $29.99, which is $10 off. Office Depot has an MK270 Logitech wireless keyboard and mouse combo entry-level one. Actually, I use that on my desk, this desk anyway, for $19. That's $10 off. Staples has a Logitech Keys to Go ultra portable keyboard for, actually, it's mobile devices, iPhones, Android devices, and tablets. It's not for computers. But if you travel and you want to have a keyboard for doing working with your iPhone or tablet, 49 bucks, 20 off. I have an earlier version of it's not a Logitech. I can't remember what the name of it was. I bought it. It was a lot more expensive than this. Came with a case that held the iPad, but it is handy if you do a lot of typing. Okay, monitors and multimedia. We have a 23-inch HP monitor at Best Buy for 109. That's 70 off. Office Depot has a 24-inch Acer monitor for $99. That's 20 off. And Staples has a Dell 24-inch monitor for 109. That's $90 off. Printers and scanners. We have a Epson Workforce 7720 wireless all-in-one printer scanner fax copier inkjet business class machine for $199, which is 100 off. Office Depot has a Brother inkjet printer scanner fax copier entry-level machine for $59.99, which is 20 off. And the prices of color laser printers are still dropping. HP LaserJet Pro M254DW duplex and wireless is $219. That's $80 off the regular price. Even $299 as a starting price is amazing for color lasers. Home automation and security. Best Buy has a great deal on a Night Owl 8-camera HD wired surveillance system. Now, when I say wired, don't let it scare you, because even if you go with wireless, you still have to run a wire to the camera unless you get a battery powered system, which will need to have the batteries replaced. And if you want to install it high up, like on the eaves of your house, on the second story, that's a real pain in the butt to get up there to change the batteries. So wired is not necessarily a bad thing. So this is an 8-camera system for $329, 70 off. Night Owl is a great brand. It has all of the internet connectivity not issues, but features that you'd like to see. You can always watch the video directly on a monitor connected to the NVR, or you can do it across the internet. And I'm a Zmoto customer. That's the system I have in my house. And they recently updated their app on the phone to where you can actually watch the video on your phone. This is stuff that's recorded in my house, and create a clip right there on the phone and send it to somebody, this is the first time that's been available. That is excellent. And I've just used that the other day. So this stuff is coming along. Prices continue to I wouldn't say they're dropping fast, but they've stabilized and started to come down. And people are just fighting. There's a feature fight now going on, and that's definitely in our favor. Office Depot has, not on their regular ad, but they do have the Ring doorbell, the base one, the original model, for 99 bucks. There are advantages to going with the more expensive ones. The newest one, the smallest one, is still $299. You can get the Ring 2, I think, in the probably under 200 bucks. But the basic features are there in the original Ring, this one for 99 bucks. Staples has a Vivitar Smart Security Wi-Fi cam for $39. That's 10 off. Fry's has a Mac Mini on sale. This is a Intel i3 quad core. It's got 8 gig of memory, 128 gig solid state drive. If you're not familiar with Mac Mini, it is Mac OS on a very small platform. Very, very handy machines. If you could get a hold of a used one, they're hard to get, hard to find even used ones. But a great way to have Mac operating system as a micro desktop. This is $769, which is 30 bucks off. Not a big sale, but you can get $679 with the promo code at Fry's. They also have the Blue Yeti microphone with, I don't know about this software, Hindenburg journalist software.
It's
Boy,
very
think
cheap.
of something to name it after that. It's like a tragic event in the past. That's weird. Well, what was your comment?
It's not an expensive package, and I remember about a couple of years ago, it was advertised for $1 during what was it, the radio day or something? like
National
Dollar?
Podcast Day or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, I'm not sure what model microphone this is. I didn't drill down into the ad. But what
That's
got
the
my
one that-
attention was the
that's the one-
Hindenburg Journalist Software Podcast Bundle.
That's the one that Mike likes.
Yeah, but 139 with a promo code. Now here is a deal: a CyberPower 450 VA battery backup for $29.
Mm-hmm.
That's $15.99 off. They're not that expensive to start with. They have a great starting price, which is the same as the sale price at, say, Best Buy or
Yeah, and
the other
but you
office
ne-
stores.
but you need to look and see what the shipping would be because these are heavy.
True.
So
Yes, you do have to look at shipping.
Yeah.
But this
But
is
it's
a
a
great
great
brand. CyberPower stands behind their products.
Yep.
If you have a need to just back up your internet gear, your router, your cable modem, your fiber transceiver or whatever, your TA, $29, and cost of shipping. It's a great way to just keep your network
Mhm.
from getting hit by momentaries and sags and so on. There's also a 950 VA battery backup for $74. And that's $15.99 off the regular price. Okay, so smart plug, KissLink smart plug. This is what you use Amazon Echo to control outlets. This is not a dimmer control. It's just an on-off control. $14.99. That's
Oh
$4.99.
shoot! I thought that allows you to kiss your wife over the internet.
That's it,
Never
over
mind.
the link. Yes, that's right. Every time you press the button, she feels a peck on the cheek. It's pretty funny. It's $4.69 off. And two other power products I wasn't even aware of that they made are both power inverters, a 480 watt inverter for $29, that's 20 off, and a 175 watt inverter for $24.99, which is $25 off. They could come in handy. I mean, if you're a camper or if you are concerned about having a way to charge devices in a power outage, this is a way you can hook it up to a 12-volt DC power supply or battery and charge. It's got USB ports built in. It's got 120-volt plugs. 480 watts is enough to charge a couple of devices at the same time, even laptops.
Mhm.
So as a backup device, not bad to have this in your kit. 13-port USB 2.0 hub with power adapters. So these are all powered ports for $19.99, 10 off. And a 10-port USB 3.0 power pack or powered USB hub for $49, which is 10 off.
Don't get excited over these because it still uses one port on the computer, and if you load this,
It
with
does. And
a
you
few
got to
of
look
them-
at also when it's rated at so many watts, that's distributed across the ports.
Yeah.
So, but they do. I have I have a power strip version of these that have like 6 USB ports on them, and they are labeled which ones are 2.4 watts and which ones are 1 watt and so on.
Yep.
So use them accordingly. 5x1 HDMI switch for $29.99, save 10. But wait, there's more. Staples has a PNY solid state 240 gig drive for $34.99. That's 5 off. Now, 240 is not a lot of storage, but if you want to use it as your boot drive or to run apps locally that you run a lot, but you can keep the other stuff you don't run that much on your platter-based drives, that's really inexpensive.
Mhm.
Or if you have a small computer, a little ultrabook that you don't have a lot on, but you just use it for web browsing, whatever, you can replace it with a 240 gig drive and have faster response. Here's the rest of that Google AC1200 kit that I was mentioning earlier. You can go buy the base station for $99, but you can buy the whole system for $259, which is 40 off at Staples. Office Depot has an iBuyPower Core i7 gaming desktop for $899. That's $300 off the regular price. To go with that, they have an MSI 24-inch curved gaming monitor for $189, which is 60 off. Best Buy has a SanDisk 1 terabyte solid state drive for $129, which is 10 off. And this is for you, Amnon. The Mavic 2 Pro quadcopter $51 off, but it's only $1488.99. Now these are the standard for prosumer drones. They're just really well made. They're used by a lot of people for business and for. I've seen a lot of people use them for, like, for example, people that do surveys of real estate, or they want to create a video for some kind of a sales package or something like that. Because these do fold up. They're very well made for being secured. And this one does have a articulating, or I should say, a gimbaled camera that will point down. That's one of the bad things about the one I have. It's a fixed camera. So when you fly the thing up, the thing you're trying to take a picture of might be below you, and you're not going to see it unless you approach it from, a distance away. So that's what you get for $69 though. And this is also something else, Amnon. You need to order one for you and one for me so we can test it. This is a 26 cubic foot, 3 French door refrigerator with family hub in it. Now look at this. It's got a screen where you can have touchscreen calendar and messages and all kinds of stuff. Only $24.99.
There's no room to put magnets, though.
You don't need magnets. You got
magnets.
virtual magnets
Yeah.
there. $24.99. That's $620 off. Now that, for this particular refrigerator with this built in, that is actually a good price, because you can spend $24.99 on a refrigerator that doesn't have the home hub in it.
Look at that, 3 built-in cameras.
Yeah. And one's inside. It's a dieter's to stop people from taking food out of there when they're not supposed to. It actually
Yeah.
gives you an electric shock. You go in there, it sees you taking food.
Next.
And if you want to get a drone, and a more inexpensive drone, it's also made by DJI. It's a Rise Teledrone for $99. That's all at those 2 things were at Fry's. So that's it for specials from March 31st, 2019.
Thank you, Spence.
You're welcome.
I don't know why they don't put those guards like on this drone, on all the other ones too. So if it hits anything,
I don't know, but
you
I know any weight on the thing, or that could provide turbulence, some kind of turbulence for the blades. I don't know. They do make blades, propeller blades, that have a built-in ring around the actual blades themselves, which probably are just not as efficient. But one of the most important things to look at with these more inexpensive drones is fly time. This is 13 minutes. It's actually pretty good for $99. Mine has roughly 8 minutes of fly time.
But you can buy batteries.
Yes, you can, but you can't change them while they're flying.
No, you can buy batteries, aftermarket batteries, instead of being
that have more. Yeah, they
850
have more power. That's true.
Yeah, more power, and they last longer.
But they're typically heavier too. So the trade is trade-offs. But yeah, I need to get into using my drone again. I was getting pretty good at flying it around the yard, but I never actually used the camera feature. I just didn't get that far. I didn't feel comfortable doing it yet, because it would be yet another thing to pay attention to, because the one I have tends to drift, even though you can have the stabilization on. Even in a light breeze, it'll move. So you have to be watching that sucker every second to make sure it doesn't fly into something. So I did remember last year, or was it last year before, I tried to buy one. I saw a really cool one, and on a tech page, and it had a feature where it would basically follow you. You would set it up so that it would stay within 5 or 6 feet of the controller behind you and fly at a fixed height. So you could be walking down a trail and this thing would just follow you. And I said, oh, this is so cool. So I ordered it, never got it, because the company that I bought it from either I don't think it was a scam, but I think they were having financial difficulties or something. And then within 24 hours of making that purchase online, my credit card got compromised. So that wasn't a good feeling. By the way, if your credit card company hasn't notified you yet, many of them now are coming with virtual card numbers for online purchases that can be used once. and then they're discarded. So you don't have to worry about your number getting stolen or compromised.
Hmm.
That's I mean,
Like that.
Apple's been doing that. Was it Apple that was doing it with the Apple Pay? I think that they do the same thing, but it's
That
virtually it's
privacy,
literally they'll
privacy.com.
create a number on the fly just for that transaction, and the
Yeah.
number's no good for anything else.
That's what's
So
that privacy.com.
they have it.
That's what it's for. That Galo was telling us about.
Oh, right.
Galo,
Yeah,
you
but
did.
it's I just got a. Well, I didn't actually get notified. I was at my credit card site doing something else, and it said, "Click here for information on virtual card numbers." Like, oh, I didn't know you guys did this. So
Yeah.
for certain transactions
That's
now, I will be using that. So
yeah. I'll definitely look into it because I couldn't do that privacy.com with the company card.
oh right, yeah, that's right.
We haven't talked about 3D printing in a while, and there's a member of our game community that actually has a Twitch stream where he's got two of these 3D printers, and it's just a camera on them, and you just can watch the thing working all day. And there was a point in time in which the cheap 3D printers compared to like the maker printers were kind of junk and not really worth having. But I've been chatting with him, and I'm not necessarily giving a recommendation for this because I've never used it, but he's using the Ender 3 3D printers, which is made by Comgrow, and they are available on Amazon for $230. And it's the full printer. You do have to put it together. It's made out of aluminum. It's not super complicated, but it's got the heated base so that the things don't stick to it. And it appears now that these cheaper 3D printers may actually suffice for doing little projects. And
So did you say it is super complicated or it is not?
what?
You said it's. You mentioned the word super complicated. It is super complicated or
No, I
it's
don't.
not?
I didn't say. Did I say super complicated?
Didn't he? I thought
didn't
I
hear
heard that. Maybe I
I don't know.
don't know. I don't have a replay.
I don't know.
Hey, I don't
no,
know.
none of it is complicated.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what I was saying.
Good. They are coming down in price. There's a lot of them.
I mean, this one.
Hannah's talking about the ones that they have at State
Yeah, those are probably maker bots, and those are $2,000
or more.
So these are small little ones for home use, and yeah, if you're this is one model I've been recommended, the Ender 3. I don't know anything really about it, but it's got 350 customer reviews on Amazon, and 65% of them are 5-star. So it's pretty good. It's got 4.5 stars overall.
Yep. Very nice. 919-518-9773. Computers 2K Voice on Skype. Let's see what else is going on in the world. If you have, I mean, a lot of people have computers with Asus motherboard. We know they had problems with audio on them, but now Asus may have inadvertently pushed malware to some of its computers through its update tool. But it at least has a fix ready to go. The PC maker has released a new version of its live update software for laptops that addresses the Shadow Hammer backdoor attack. It also promised multiple security verification mechanisms to reduce the chance of further attacks, and stated using an enhanced end-to-end encryption mechanism. These are upgrades to the behind-the-scenes server system to prevent future attacks. If you have a a laptop that has an Asus motherboard. Yours does, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you did any updates? I mean, yeah, updates to the 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 computer. Now, I mean, we're not talking about Windows updates. We're talking about firmware updates. Um, you need to make sure that you get the newer tool. That's bad. When and it, I was reading something that somebody actually figured out how to get in there and did this.
Hmm.
Not fun at all. Let's see. Nobody wants to call in and talk about anything, huh? Well, it's fine. Hey, Mike, light bulbs?
He's not there.
Oh, he's not.
What's that? Light bulbs?
Yeah, light bulbs. Listen to this. If it's been a few years since you shopped for a light bulb, you might find yourself confused. Those controversial curly Q ones that were cutting edge not that long ago, gone or harder to find, thanks to a 2007 law signed by then President George W. Bush. Shelves these days are largely stocked with LED bulbs that look more like the traditional pear shaped incandescent version, but use just 1/5 of the energy. A second wave of light bulb changes was set to happen. But now, the Trump administration wants to undo an Obama era regulation designed to make a wide array of specialty lights more energy efficient. So at issue, Spence, you installed those big globe lights in the bathroom and stuff.
Yeah.
So these are bulbs such as decorative globes used in bathrooms, reflectors in recessed lighting, candle-shaped lights, and three-way light bulbs. The Natural Resources Defense Council says that collectively these accounts for about 2.7 billion light sockets, nearly half the conventional sockets in use in the U.S. At the very end of the Obama administration, the Department of Energy decided these specialty bulbs should also be subject to efficiency requirements under the 2007 law. The lighting industry objected and sued to overturn the decision. NEMA, sorry, that Congress never intended for the law to apply to all these other light bulbs. Now, after President Trump took office, the Energy Department agreed and proposed to reverse the agency's previous decision. Critics may say, they say that if the reversal is finalized, it will mean higher energy bills for consumers and more pollution. I don't know why they keep saying more pollution, because everything, it's the power company that at that point are polluting. I don't know, but I agree. Some of those light bulbs, when you put them in the uh, bathroom, they don't do what they're supposed to do. If you put a light bulb next to you, or even here, I've got those LEDs. They're not the way that they were with those. What did they call them? The curly cues? Not fluorescent. They are fluorescent, but what did they call them?
CFL.
CFLs. And if you want to get the light that you would getting, you have to get higher wattage. And at that point, okay, so what's the difference? You're still using more energy in order to get the light that you're used to. You can just get so much out of a small piece. If you put a big light bulb, yeah, some of those LEDs, I mean, use them in cars, and they are headlights. They can be really strong, but they use a lot of energy there. So I don't know why you would want to why you would not want to use some of the older ones for accent and such. It's I mean the ones that we have in the kitchen now are those candlelight, and they work fine. I mean LEDs, but some of them will not. 919-518-9773. Computers 2K voice on Skype. What else going on? Prince, why are you so
What? What?
oh
Talking to me?
I'm sorry. I didn't
No,
mean-
I was reading it. I was reading an article.
Now, how many people use IFTTT? You do.
Yeah.
I do too.
For some stuff.
Yeah, for some stuff. I mean, I'm getting to the point where I don't remember things, so I use IFTTT to call me and say, "Hey, you have an appointment such and such." Almost all of Gmail's IFTTT routines and actions will stop working at the end of the month
Oh man.
as Google alters the Gmail API to make it more secure. The only functionality of IFTTT Gmail integration will be sending yourself an email and sending an email to someone else. Everything else is going to have to be redone. I'm sure they'll fix it and they'll rewrite those routines. But if you are using those, then something is going to happen.
Hmm.
Or something isn't going to happen.
There's what?
Yeah.
Something isn't going to happen.
Something is.
It isn't.
Why?
Because it's not going to work. So something's not going to happen.
Okay.
It's not going to happen. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there was some cool. There's
Yeah.
IFTTT is cool, but it's
Well,
Microsoft makes a similar product. I think it's called Flow, and it's part of Office 365, and it's got a lot of the similar features to IFTTT,
Oh.
which is but it's
IFTTT
obviously it's got the integration into all of the other Microsoft services
Oh,
that you
well.
pay for with 365. I mean, it's really for people that use 365. But yeah.
You were saying something is not going to happen. One of our customers, since we changed the mail server, there is an option called vacation or out of office
Mhm.
message. And yeah, on Office 365 with Outlook, you don't need any special. It's built in, kind of.
Okay.
Right?
I'm not sure. I've never used
Yeah.
it, but I'm sure. Yeah.
When you do things the way that we do, you need to have a separate program that does it. And the old program did not work very good with the new mail server. So Ron found a new one, and it works great with webmail to get the back and all that. But one of our customers asked for it, so that's why Ron did it real quick and installed it. And I told the customer, go ahead and use it and all that. And they didn't like it because it kept on sending messages, even if it was what we thought turned off.
Ah.
And one of the options there on the page when you do it was this message disabled. And there was a slide off on or off on. And the way that I read it, you're doing things fast. And you see, okay, yeah, you turn it on or you turn it off. Well, that's not what the thing was. So after a while of trying to work with it and figure it out, you realize, oh, okay, it says message disabled and you turn it on. You turn it on to disable the message.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah,
well,
you would do when you're disabling.
That's how it was.
Gotcha.
On the old one, you put a check mark and it's on, or you uncheck it and it's off. So I took it the same way. So it actually was supposed to be. So that's like a double negative.
It is,
Yes, it is this. Yes, I just disabled it.
Click to enable the disenabling.
Yes, exactly. Click to enable to disable it. That's
Yes.
exactly what it is.
A good friend of mine switched his legal office over to Office 365 a year or two ago.
Yeah.
Ever since then, when I send him an email from my primary email account, my top secret primary email account, it goes into his junk folder.
Uh-huh.
I have to remember when I send him something to send it from my
Oh,
Roadrunner account.
Well,
So,
what's flagging it that makes it happen? Yeah.
well, that's the question. He had his tech up in Ohio look at it. They couldn't figure it out. And then it occurred to me that I now have three accounts with Office 365 for the various businesses I'm involved with. I decided to go in and look through the interface to see if I could find a never send to spam filter. In doing some research, I didn't find exactly what I was looking for, but I did find that even what I thought was the case, that if you're using Outlook on your computer, the web interface has controls that are still working. So it hits the server, the web, you go to the web interface, you're dealing with the server level versus your desktop, you're dealing at the client level. That's the only way I know how to explain it. I decided to look through the web part to look at what's going on at the server, and I found a whitelist. I said, well, let's go in there and I'll just have him whitelist it to see if that'll solve the problem. He logged in, and about an hour later, when he got it, he wrote me back and he said, I found out that your name was in the blacklist. I didn't even know there was a blacklist. He's not very technical.
Well,
Well,
Microsoft is making it easy for the average person.
Well, he took it out and everything's working fine now.
Hmm.
yeah. I was getting kind of frustrated yesterday evening with a customer. Their mailbox was full, and she's saying that she goes and she deletes when she get the notices. And I said, well, it was full. That's why you didn't get email. So
You're gating.
I am.
Yes, you are. When you turn your head away from the mic, it gates.
Oh, okay.
Now, so she was getting the, don't change anything. She was
No,
getting the
no.
notices
So
and what?
she was getting. She said whenever she gets notice that your mailbox is 80% full, she would go and delete messages.
Is she connected with IMAP?
Both.
Because if on IMAP, it doesn't purge the deleted items folder
Well,
on some servers.
Here is what we found out. Okay, no, but yeah, Mike, tell what about so other people will know what you're going to say.
Well, I mean, I figured if that's the problem, you'd do it. I didn't
No.
mean to steal your thunder, but
No.
just because you deleted in an IMAP account, it marks it as deleted, but it
Right.
doesn't delete it. You actually have to set it up to purge the files
Right.
out of the deleted items folder, or you don't free up the hard drive space.
Right. She would use her phone with Apple Mail or whatever, and she would use her computer with Outlook. And if she was away with a computer, sometimes she'll go on the webmail, on Squirrel Mail. I went and looked in her folder on the server, and I see deleted or .deleted and .deleted messages. And I say, why did you create another folder here? She said, I didn't create any folder. I said, you are archiving on the server. There's a folder called archive. And I know that Squirrel Mail or the server do not create these. So she said, I don't know where they come from. I said, well, I didn't put them there. The only one who has access is you. So it may be a plugin or something that you got. So I went ahead and I removed all those quote unquote unnecessary folders. And it cleared everything. Then I asked her to delete a message. And I asked her to do it on the phone. The minute she deleted it with Apple mail or whatever is the iPhone is using, poof, pop, there goes a folder called deleted messages got created in that folder. She was going to the webmail and purging, but the purge in the webmail was looking at its own folders, at deleted, not deleted messages. So it never emptied it. So I don't know how she found out, but she was saying, I just logged in and there are over 2,000 messages in there. I said, where? You said you deleted. And I went and looked, and sure, we found that out. I told her, I said that she needs to go and do everything. And I need to find out why, what in the world is the phone have to do with her account creating its own folders that cannot be manipulated by the server itself?
Well, you need to ask Nick. He's a big Apple fan.
I don't use
Well,
the
no,
Apple
he
Mail
said
app.
that we're going to do it after the show, but I mean, there's really no need to, because there's the only thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to create a cron job that will go and remove all the messages from the deleted messages folders of everybody, because there may be others that have
Be
that.
careful.
Why?
Well, because some people do that stuff on purpose. They use it as
Okay, and that's my point is Delta Force is not Gmail. You do not archive stuff on Delta Force. You use POP. You want to use IMAP? It's okay, but you have to know how to do this. Am I going to do it across the board just like that? No. But if people do have that problem and they really don't care about it and they don't know how to go about purging these, I'll do it for them. It's
right. But
once an
see,
hour.
I've got a shared server with a company. If they instituted that policy across the board, I would immediately change companies.
Yeah,
if they offered it as a service, I have several accounts. I'd ask them to implement it on.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, because there are others that use IMAP and they know how to manage it. And I told her, I said, it's your software. You need to be familiar with it. Well, how do I tell when it's there? I said, I have no idea. I don't use an iPhone. You need to find out. And I'm sure that a lot of customers are using iPhones and they don't get those messages that they're going over quota.
I have had I still have this unique issue. It's not a showstopper, but I subscribe to a VPN service.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, even I just subscribe to it. She wants to watch certain programming that is, I don't know, she's just got addicted to foreign
Don't
dramas.
better not tell.
But no, I'm not going to get into it. No, there's nothing she's doing is illegal, because she can watch it on local, but the servers in other places are better. So it happens to be. But the point is, we got a VPN service, and she chose, and I actually did some research and thought it would, with the price offer for the first year, was a good deal. Was that Norton Secure VPN? And I like the features. I like the support has been very good, but there's an issue that I can't figure it out, because it turns out it's not the software, it's not my iPhone, it's my router. Here's what happened: installed the software, tried to connect on my home Wi-Fi network. As soon as I pressed the button to activate the VPN, my iPhone switched from Wi-Fi to LTE. Basically, it turned off the Wi-Fi connection. Would not work. Went through back and forth with support, just uninstall, reinstall, install it this time using just LTE, don't install it from Wi-Fi. Well, it turns out that if you have Wi-Fi turned off in your configuration and you connect to LTE, it works. As soon as you turn on Wi-Fi, it drops. So carrying that forward, I said, well, let me try it. I put another Wi-Fi router in front of my existing TP-Link, an older one, just to see if it was the Wi-Fi that was the problem. Still didn't work. Took out my TP-Link and put this other router in its place, connected directly to my cable modem. It works. I can use it anywhere else. LTE, any other Wi-Fi hotspots I've gone to, it works. It just does not work with TP-Link. I have no special setup in there. I don't have any special filters. It's basically the default setup. I don't have any filtering turned on. All I'm really using, the only features I'm using is some nailed up IP addresses, and that's it.
So you never
I mean,
found out the reason.
I haven't figured it out yet. So it's apparently that router, something about it. So I have a couple of other old routers I'm going to try, and it's not a big deal because I'm on my home network. I don't really care. I was just using it to test. My daughter comes over with her Android phone. It works. So it's puzzling. It's something to do with the Wi-Fi on the iPhone and something in the router itself.
You take that back. You're suggesting it's an Apple problem.
Well, I don't know. But what the relationship between the iPhone and the TP-Link router is the issue. Whoever's fault it is, I don't know.
I go a lot of places with my iPhone and it says unable to check email. The last place I had this problem was over at the Umstead Hotel in Cary, and their internet is operated and because they are owned by SAS. And I believe SAS knows how to manage a router and email. And the last time I was there, and when I go in there, it says unable to check your Gmail account.
Is that the hotel that's on Academy Street?
No,
No.
no,
Which is-
that's dump compared to the Umstead.
Well, the Academy Street one has gone bankrupt, right?
Well, they do that about, yeah.
Yeah.
This May Pop or Mayfair or May something.
Yeah, that's it. I wasn't sure where.
They
I
may
didn't
want-
think the SAS one was there. I knew that was a real super 5-star.
So did
Oh,
you
yeah.
ever?
I mean, when you walk in the door, they have 4 people holding the door for you.
So did you ever figure out why it's doing that?
No.
Oh.
It's not just there. It happens at numerous places. It has to do something to do with iPhone and Gmail. It's only the Gmail account that does it.
Are you using, the Apple client or the Gmail client?
Gmail client. Well, let me take that back. It's Apple's Gmail client.
I have 2 accounts that I have on my phone. One I use the Gmail client for, the other one I use the native Apple client for. And there's a reason I have that, just because I don't want. I'm keeping them separate for a reason. I don't want to have.
All right.
It's just easier for me to do that. But
Yeah.
and I've never had a problem with either of them. The Gmail client's a little more confusing at initial setup to get it to show what you want to show. The Apple client is just so basic. I use that for my work email, and I use the other one for my
What's
personal email.
bizarre is that if you use Office 365 on your iPhone, the Exchange client is the one that you should use instead of
Really?
yeah.
Huh.
It's flawless. I mean, it's push notification and everything. It works really great.
I had a customer who is an original Hotmail user who has survived all of the different iterations over time to get to where we are now. He still has his Hotmail account and he uses Office 365, but it was a real pain in the butt to set it up initially. Between Office 365 as it exists today and going back to Hotmail, they had to do all kinds of gyrations with special clients and proxy. No, I wouldn't say it was a proxy. What did they call it? Some type of a user agent that would do the translation between the original Hotmail server and the client that they gave you, as they migrated everybody off of so-called Hotmail.
Well, Nick, is Nick still there?
No.
Gone. He's gone.
Okay, good. Got a question for you when you get back.
Okay. I'll let you know.
Because email is dying out. I mean, your generation is using it less and less. You're only using it to interact with old people.
No, I mean it's being used. It's being used in obviously the office environment, but that's about it.
All right. So let's suppose, for example, that you realized that YouTube has it in for Infection Podcast.
Mhm.
They find out you're conservative, which means you're toast. So you want to come up with some way of keeping up with your subscribers so that if you ever get permanently booted from YouTube, you want to be able to contact them and tell them to join you at deltaforce.net.
Yep.
How would you do that?
I mean, there's a couple different ways. I mean, obviously we've got a Twitter account that would be used.
All right, if Twitter's banning conservatives as well.
I mean, I understand, but so are you saying every service is all going to be banned? I mean, because
no, not everyone, not email theoretically.
well, that's
email.
I mean, that's not true though, because I mean, I'll give you a great example. I'll give you a great example. MailChimp. What are you doing? MailChimp banned Alex Jones's account when everybody else did, so he lost all of he lost his entire email list. So I mean, what's safe?
That's what I'm asking you.
Well,
you know it all.
No, but I mean that's the argument I make. Yes. Now, what the likelihood?
What I'm getting to is if email is on decline, inarguably, your audience is typically younger people, Amnon and me, right?
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
right. And if your people are not going to be using email, you can't count on Twitter. You can't count on MailChimp. How would you set up a subversive way of contacting your viewers so that they can find you on an alternate source?
Yeah, I mean, fortunately for us, we've got our Discord server as well, which could get banned just like everything else. There isn't, Mike. You've asked a question that can't be answered. Your ISP could ban you.
You could get their phone number.
Yeah, well, I mean, but they're not. Most of the, I mean, a lot of our audience isn't even in the U.S., so I mean, phone numbers would be kind of irrelevant. I mean, I would say the thing would be to not like we've got YouTube, we've got our Twitter handle, we've got our Discord, we've got a Steam group, which is our gaming platform. If we really needed to get a hold of a core group of people, we would be able to.
I think you're missing Mike's point here, though. The ISP may ban you.
Yeah.
But you can always go to another ISP and send messages to everybody.
Correct.
They're not going to ban your.
But
do you have a list?
No, because because using a service like MailChimp is like using Twitter. It's the same thing. You are decentralized. If the argument is that social networks are these big companies are censoring people based on political ideology, MailChimp is the same service. They emphatically banned Alex Jones's MailChimp account when Twitter, Facebook, and everybody else banned him. So he, in fact, had the email infrastructure, and it was tarnished. Now, fortunately, they let him.
That happen, but if he didn't have a copy of his database, he's not very smart.
He did, and they had a backup of it, and they've got a new mail list now, probably using it internally. But I mean, it was banned. So for a long period of time, for like probably a 3-week period, he was not sending out his daily newsletter.
I think, Mike, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's almost like saying you're only using Gmail and all your customers, all your fans are using Gmail. Now, Gmail banned you. And unless you're sending from Gmail, they cannot get any information.
Now, I would say
that's what Twitter will cause.
Okay, well, here you go, Mike. Here it is then. Our podcast. Our podcast RSS feed is hosted by us on our website. So there's that. So there it is. That's how RSS and podcast by itself, if it's not relying on somebody like Libsyn or Blueberry, is the most decentralized you can get.
Right.
Brian hosts the RSS feed on infectionpodcast.com, which he
the only one
hosts.
that can stop him will be the provider that provides internet to that server.
Correct. I
mean, but
now you could say you could get banned on a podcast app, and you can, but every podcast app allows you to put in a custom RSS feed. So I guess, Mike, the answer to your question is have your own website, have your own domain somewhere that you host that you can do your own thing with.
Right.
That would be it. That's how we'd get in touch with
good advice from day one without regard to the latest issues.
Yeah, well, I would say the most foolproof, because relying on MailChimp or anybody else, in my opinion, is like relying on Facebook or Twitter.
Own,
yeah, have your own domain, which you can get for $3 a month.
MailChimp just makes it easier for you to do it. You just have to send one mail and it goes.
Well, I don't have a way to do a mail list.
And if Nick's friends aren't using email, then what good is a mailing list?
Yeah, I would make the argument that for gamers, they're not.
I would, you know what? I think that's an interesting point. But I would argue that they still are using email. They're using Gmail.
They're using it so they're not using email. What they're doing is they have email so that they can sign up for services.
And what happens if I send them an email to Gmail? Will they know?
I mean, they probably will, but but Amnon, every time I come over here, you've always got your inbox open on the left-hand side of your screen.
Yeah.
But And Mike's the same way. Every time I'm over with Mike, he's always got an email client.
Because that's how we do most of.
And I'm the same
all
way.
of
I
ours.
always have an email client open. Most of these people do not. They're relying on push notifications to their phone from Gmail.
But will Mike, are you kind of like insinuating that sooner or later, the younger generation, I mean, you can send them an email and they will never answer because they'll never see it.
Ask Nick. He's the one who told me.
Do you think that Nick? Do you think that will get to the point where?
I think it's there already.
So if I send, but you see, if I send you a message to Gmail, you will get it.
Yeah, but
maybe you won't get it every second of the day, but you will get it.
Yeah, at some point. I mean, yeah, well, that's not true though. I do have. I mean, I have an email client on my work computer.
And do you
my
know
home
people
computer.
that will just? I mean, you know.
I mean, I don't know them personally, but there's no reason to use email. Why would you?
You're not using it, but you have it. It's almost like you have a car.
Of course, you have to have an email address. If you don't have an email address, you can't use the internet. So,
right. So that's what I'm saying. So I think it will. Mike, I think
this is. Let me try to answer Mike's question this way. Mike, if we said, fill out our contact form and give us your email address, I do not think a lot of people would fill it out. I think maybe that's a better answer to your question.
That's why
because they're not. It's not because they don't have email addresses. It's because they are not interested in communication, probably via email. It's not that they hate email or they'd prefer not to be contacted via email.
I would take it a little farther and say that they don't want to put their email out there because they don't want to get junked.
I don't even know if it's that. It's just not, they're just not interested in email communication. Email is kind of a pain to check. Depending on what.
So you say
if
you give us your Instagram address.
No, it wouldn't be Instagram. But would say join our Discord server or give us your email address so we can communicate. I would say that a majority of the people in our gaming community would rather join a Discord server that they have control over and they can see what's going on. Again, this is pure. I mean, there's no science behind any of this. This is just my thoughts on it.
Yeah, you assume.
So do they have email? Yes, absolutely. Do they use email? Yes, absolutely. Because they use it for two-factor authentication or whatever. But do they want to use email as a form of communication to get information, timely information? Probably not. I don't. I mean, I don't have any, when I have services that I need instant notification on, I have it send me a text message. I don't use email for like instant alert. I mean, in the radio station, when I have an alert that it sends me, does it send it to an email address? Yes, because that's how I forward things with IFTTT and with Microsoft Flow. But for example, Outlook randomly will not pop up emails on my phone. I missed a very critical email last week. I was not at the office and Outlook on my phone, for whatever freaking reason, did not send me the email, and I didn't see it until that night, and it was already too late. So that's why I'm not going to rely on that for my form of communication. Why the hell didn't I get a push notification?
You win the lottery?
No, it was in my inbox. When I finally got home and opened up my computer, it was the second to last message I'd received. And I was waiting all day for a response to that email. And for whatever freaking reason, Outlook on the phone did not pop up and give me anything.
You probably moved around in an area where the service was not really good at the precise moment that email came in.
That's happened a lot with Outlook, though. I've been very disappointed with the amount of email.
That happens to me, and I did have isolated it, that you can be maybe even next to a computer that is blocking the signal on the phone. The RFI from the computer is blocking the phone. So it's not a reliable system.
Yeah. I mean, so I would think that people do not want to be contacted. People do not want to rely on that service to be contacted. So podcasts and RSS can't be shut down. Nobody can ban your podcast. That's very hard to do. But email's a little bit of a different story.
All right. Let's take the caller. Who do we have online?
You got Gene online.
Hey, Gene. Sorry about that. I didn't want to break the conversation. Go ahead.
Yeah. I waited too. I called in earlier.
Yeah.
Nick was talking, so I hung up. The reason I called you the other day to ask you about an alternative to CCleaner was not because of the application. I like the application. It does a good job, and it always has. And I've got it installed on about four of my computers and probably my wife's. Yeah, I guess that too. But I'll tell you, I am getting upset with Perform, the company, because they keep sending you notices of updates. And when you click on it, all you get is a whole bunch of promotion stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can't get away, you almost can't get away from it. I got really frustrated yesterday when it said review your licenses. And so I clicked on that, and what comes up, a promotion to upgrade or to buy something else and that kind of thing. And you just can't, and it doesn't come up as a pop-up. It comes up as the window. So you can't go look at what you wanted to look at, your licenses, right? So I said, okay, I'm going to finally just call these people. So I get the phone number and I call the phone number. And you have two options. One is punch 1 for sales, punch 2 for support. So I punch 2. On comes a message that says, we don't offer support on the phone. Go to the website. I go to the website, and what do I get? Promotions.
Yeah. So
absolutely sick.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know what a replacement for CCleaner. I'm sure there are there. You mentioned the name of one.
Total AV.
Total AV. I don't know anything about. I never heard about it. But if anybody else heard about it, Total AV, then make a comment for Gene here or Gene.
I got it open on my computer right now, and let me tell you what kind of stuff it's got. Total AV. It's got a dashboard. It's got antivirus. It's got scan. It's got quarantine. It's got real-time protection. It's got system boost, and that's the cleanup. It's got disk cleaner. It's got web security, and it has a pass.
And it doesn't cost anything.
No.
And it doesn't pop up any ads.
Nope. Every once in a while, you'll get something that says.
Okay. Did you research it on Google to see what people?
I've been using it on this one system for about a month now.
Okay.
And I researched it. I mean, it comes up in the list of good antivirus programs. That's top of the list.
All right. So you're not asking a question. You are offering a review and advice. That's good.
Well, both. I was just wondering whether everybody else is having the same problem I'm having with Terraform and CCleaner. It's just you can't. I mean, there's no customer service. It's customer no support is what it is. It's not customer support.
Okay. So Total AV.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to try. I mean, the only thing I don't see in Total AV that you get with CCleaner is the registry cleanup. And I researched that, and there's a lot of people on the internet, a lot of forums on the internet that say you shouldn't mess with your registry. It don't need cleaning up.
I tend to agree.
So maybe I'll dump CCleaner and keep Total AV.
Yeah.
Well, you use CCleaner once a year.
No, I use
Clean the registry. Did Mike, you say clean the registry once a year?
If you're going to do it, I mean, the argument against doing it is not universally, the opinion is not universally held. Some people say never do it. Some people say to do it. If you do it and it works well, it's a good idea. If you do it and it trashes your computer, it's a bad idea.
Yeah. Okay.
I do it, but I absolutely make sure I back up the registry before I do.
Yeah. And, CCleaner makes it easy for you to say, no, don't do that.
Yeah.
CCleaner has caused problems for me in the past in that it's a long time ago. I ran it on one computer and the computer never booted again. I ended up having to rebuild it. But that was an early version. And now, if you're not careful what you tell it to clean up, depending on, for example, I will use cached credentials or something on a particular site. And if you don't check the right things, then when you start using your computer again, it doesn't remember where you've been. It doesn't remember any of the pre-entered information. It certainly doesn't remember any of the passwords. If you're not careful, it'll delete all the cookies that are some of them being useful. So you just have to learn how to use it to get the best benefit out of it.
Yeah. What do you use, Nick?
Nothing.
So how do you clean up? You just.
I mean, I
Use
don't.
Windows?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I don't run. I don't run C. Yeah, I don't run CCleaner at all.
He's a Mac user.
You don't even clean your temporary files, history, and
No.
all that. So stop complaining that your computer is slow.
That's not the reason it's slow. No, I mean, I've run it before every once in a while. I think I've got the CCleaner portable on there that I've run from time to time, but I mean, I don't have it start with Windows or anything like that.
No, no.
But
No,
but
but
that's
I
what it
use-
does by default. It absolutely it adds
It
itself as a
tries.
startup program.
Right.
Yeah.
It tries.
And
Absolutely. yeah.
it'll sit in the little task bar constantly, and it'll just sit there doing what I have no
Yeah,
idea.
if you leave it in your system tray there, if you see it down there, it slows your computer big time.
Not even necessarily it slows, but it's just, I mean, as Mike said, it's something let's say you do it every
You don't
3
need-
months. I mean,
The thing though is, it used to be like with XP, and in the early days of Windows 7, you would run the more you do with the computer, the more you're going to see errors in the registry.
of course.
Installing, uninstalling, things like that. So we used to see pages of that. In the last 2-3 years, when I use CCleaner Gene to clear all the temporary files, because I use
Yeah, that's
different
right.
different browsers and all that, and it's a whole lot easier. But every now and then I would go to the registry cleaner, and you don't have to clean; you can just clean it and see what. And in the last 2 or 3 years, I'll see 2 or 3 things that are really not important, that I say, oh yeah, I installed that program and then I uninstalled it. I mean, there'll be like really a handful of lines in there. And at that point, really, there's nothing to worry about. So
Yep.
it seems like we're getting to the point where you don't need to fix the registry. The OS is taking care of that. When maybe you what? Gene?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm here.
the OS.
Losing your voice. I don't know why.
Well,
Can you hear me?
we can hear you.
I can't hear you.
All
Oh,
right.
now I can. All right. What were you saying?
So yeah, it's less and less really needed. So if you find that Total AV does what you want it to do, don't worry about the registration, the registry thing.
Yeah, I'm not going to.
All right.
I also found CCleaner handy, so you didn't have to go to control panel all the time to uninstall programs and those other tools. But those tools are available on Total AV too, so if you want to use them. Okay, that's what I wanted to tell you.
There is-
The reason why I
There
was
is a there is a simple tool built into Windows 10. Just it's called Free Up Space now. If you go to storage in the settings, you scroll down, you'll see Free Up Space now, and it goes and looks at temporary files, and it lets you select what you want to remove.
yeah.
It's a very simple way to do it. It's built in. I'm sure it's not as comprehensive as CCleaner, but
Are you using
it'll get rid
CCleaner?
of temporary
Okay.
internet files. It'll get rid of leftover installer files, upgrade log files, things like that that just get stuck and sit there forever.
You got to understand what you want to get rid of there, though.
Oh no,
are
you do,
using
and it's
CCleaner?
yes.
You are using it?
I use it occasionally. Yeah, I also use CCleaner occasionally.
Okay. I just
All right.
thought I'd let you know why I was asking that question, Edna.
All right, Gene.
All right.
Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
I had a problem with my Mac where it started to get slow.
Oh.
And I actually purchased a program that was highly rated called Clean My Mac. And it was just you scan, but it reminds you about once every 2 weeks to scan. And it cleans out temporary files, it cleans out cache, it goes into your browser and looks for things to take out. And it noticeably makes the machine faster. And I think I paid $29 for it. It was well worth it. And it's just easy
Oh.
to use. It does not run in the background, although it does do some monitoring of applications that run slow. So I guess it does run in the background. but it will say that this program is running really slow. Do you want to kill it? Basically.
Well, that's
And
what these programs will do. Yeah, it's fine. All right, this is time of day again. We don't want to go over. Any short announcements? Anything else? Somebody, Mike, you wanted to mention that you didn't get around to? Spence, Nick.
I decided I'm going to be one of the candidates for the Democratic presidential election.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm going to run.
All right. So thanks.
As a Republican.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
It was fun.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks, Spence. Thank you, Mike. And the good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie, and Donna. Thanks, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing. Back up your hard drive and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. Tonight at 7, Nick, you're doing the show. Nick Craig hosts Against the Norm. And at 9, it's Mike Phillips. Mike Phillips is hosting the Crypto Culture Show. Both these shows are on Wilmington Big Talker 106.7 FM in Wilmington. And you can listen on TuneIn anywhere in the world you are. And I highly recommend. Link to TuneIn is in the links on the left there, if you don't know how to get there. See you next week, everybody.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.